All right, it's time now for the game preview presented by Ticketmaster here with head coach Kevin Stefanski. Kevin, not the outcome you guys wanted in that season opener, but what's the team mindset coming out of week one?
Yeah, obviously you're disappointed. You want to get that first one badly, but we weren't good enough to win in that game, obviously. Just a bunch of things to clean up, and that's really been the message. We need to do way better at a bunch of little things, and the little things oftentimes become the big thing if you don't take care of them. So we've worked very hard this week to eliminate some of those bad plays, add a few more of those good plays, and then play the type of football that allows you to win. And especially this week going on the road, those are important as well.
I know it's a team effort, but as we all know, all eyes are on the quarterback. So how is Deshaun Watson preparing this week, looking to bounce back off of that performance in week one?
Yeah, as you know, it's a team game, and especially offensively, we all need to do our part. That's coaches, players, you name it. Deshaun obviously wants to play well for this team, just like I want to coach well. Our players want to do their best. So he's very, very determined, and I think he's going to have put in the work this week. All
right, turning the page, you're on to week two, first road game of the season down in Jacksonville, taking on the Jags. What are you looking at when you look at the tape? What stands out to you about that team as a whole?
It's a good football team. No, it's a team we know well, having played them last December, but they've had some changes to their scheme. They've had some changes, obviously, to their personnel, just like we have. So it really is, in a lot of ways, the same team, but there's enough differences where you have to really go to work. So I think if you look at their roster up and down, they have talented players. They have former first-round picks across the roster. I think the quarterback is really, really talented. We've seen that firsthand, the plays that he can make. Defensively, they have guys that can get after the passer. They have guys that can cover in the back end. So it's a really, really balanced group.
I would talk about that quarterback, Trevor Lawrence. When you're looking at going against him and preparing for him, what stands out as things that you need to do in order to contain him and what he does best?
Well, he's very, very athletic. He's big, he's physical, he can run, he can make plays on the move, and he can really make every throw. I think that's the impressive part of Trevor Lawrence, where he can make every throw, can get out of the pocket, and can really hurt you in a multitude of ways.
Now, offensively, they've added Gabe Davis and they've drafted Brian Thomas. Those two guys, how do they open up that offense? And what does it look like for you knowing that they have those two new weapons?
It's a really interesting adding those two guys, bigger bodies that can go down the field and make plays for them. They still have Christian Kirk, who I think is a really, really good player in the slot that can win downfield. So they added that wide receiver room, and they added a little bit of size, but really what they've done continues to be some one-on-one shots outside, some deep shots off of play action, and a really balanced attack where they spread the ball around.
Now, on the other side of the ball, defensively, they got a new defensive coordinator, and they've got Eric Armstead, Ronald Darby among some of those guys that they've brought in. Defensively, what makes them maybe better or different than they were when you faced them last?
Well, you mentioned adding Armstead. I mean, he's a really, really big physical player. You already have 41 and 44 on the edges, so this is a very, very stout front. They have a lot of talent up front, and they play very aggressively. In the back end, they're going to press you. They're going to play aggressive, whether it's man or zone. They're going to kind of get in your face and make you wiggle open versus man coverage. So it's an aggressive defense. They play very hard, and with Coach Nielsen, he really does do a nice job of mixing up coverages, mixing up fronts. They'll pressure, they'll play coverage, they'll kind of mix it up and try to keep you off balance.
We mentioned the last time you guys played each other, it was a really big game defensively, especially for MJ Emerson. But when you look at that game, is there something that you can roll over? I know it's a new season and there's these new changes, but can you roll any of that over? Can you build off of that at all?
I think you start with that tape, certainly with our defense, watching their offense. You start with that tape because hasn't been a ton of change scheme-wise. Now there's different personnel. On the other side of the ball, there's different schemes on both sides now. There's different players really across the board. So you certainly watch that tape to understand their personnel, but there's going to be enough difference when we have the ball and they're on defense just schematically and personnel.
Now they're coming off of a game where they lost it. They didn't get any points in that second half, but they were also on the road. This is their home opener. How do you guys approach this momentum-wise, knowing that it's going to be a rowdy fan base looking to hype their team up after a tough one?
Yeah, that's kind of the job in the NFL is you go on the road and you have to have that road mentality. And their crowd will be loud when we're on offense, so being great with our operation, being great with our silent count. Obviously, now when we're on defense, it's a little bit easier to communicate when you're on defense on the road than it is at our place. So it's certainly some differences in there, but the mentality has to be that we're going to play clean football in order to get a win on the road.
All right, thanks so much, Coach. Good luck on Sunday.
Thanks, Cam.